you see my screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I see your screen.
All right. Let's do a few minutes on this.
Okay.
Using the rule of nines, what's 9 times 8?
Minus 72.
Well, 9 times 8 is 72, but now we have a minus 9 times a minus 8. Minus times minus becomes what?
Plus.
So it's plus 72.
Minus 15. Minus 77.
What times does 4 go into 28?
7 times.
Okay, is 7 times 4 28? In other
No.
words, yes, 7 is correct. But the way to check it in your head is to multiply the two numbers back together again and make sure you get 28. In other words, let's say you're not sure. Maybe the answer is 6, maybe the answer is 7, maybe the answer is 8. Well, you could take all three of those numbers, multiply it by 4, and see which one produces 28. Now, is this a minus or a plus 7?
It's a minus.
Straightforward subtraction problem.
Five. Plus 12. Minus 32.
Good.
Yeah. Plus 11.
Okay, now this is a subtraction problem that involves a negative number. In other words, there's the negative number, minus 9, and we're subtracting a positive 2. So let's turn it into an addition problem. How do I do that?
You take the minus, you just change the 2 to a minus 2
And
and add a
change the
plus.
subtraction sign to a plus. So now we have minus 2 plus minus 9, or minus 9 plus minus 2.
So it'd be minus 11.
In other words, this problem right here, pretty easy, right?
Minus 9.
Right. That's the same problem as minus 3 minus 6. It's just they've written it as an addition problem here, instead of a subtraction problem, which the previous one was written as.
That would be minus 1.
Good. One more, and then we'll go do some algebra.
Minus 14.
All right. Put that up there. All right, I'm going to write some algebra equations. Last time, we went in a slightly different direction, but I think it's time to get to solving basic equations. Okay, So let me write some here. And you tell me the next line to write.
The next line?
In other words, as you're solving this algebra equation, this is line 1. What's line 2 going to be?
Every digit by every digit?
No. In other words, what's our first step going to be? To try to isolate x. Remember, when we're solving equations, we're always trying to isolate x. Our last step is going to be this. X equals some number.
You're going to divide the far left side by 4.
Okay.
And you're going to divide basically everything by 4.
Okay, we can do that. In other words, I'm allowed to do that. I'm allowed to do that, and that, and that. Okay? Notice that makes a difficult problem now, because now we have x plus 7/4 equals 27/4. The problem got harder. If you do your subtractions and additions first, that won't happen. In other words, another possible first step here, and I'm always going to recommend doing the additions and subtractions first, getting rid of those. How do I get rid of this plus 7?
You minus 7.
Okay, so the next line is going to be 4x, because there's no longer any 7 over there. And what's the right side going to be?
20.
Okay, notice no fractions. Now what's the next step?
You divide by 4.
Okay, so x equals what?
X equals 5.
Okay. Now, notice that we're always trying to isolate x, and we do it by getting rid of very first thing, anything that's being added or subtracted to it. Then we start dividing by any multipliers or multiply by any dividers. Let's do more. First step.
Minus 29. No, because that would give us. Well, we already have a minus number, so yeah. No.
Always do the opposite. Remember, when you're solving equations, always do the opposite.
Plus 29.
Okay, so I'm going to add 29 to that side. I'm going to add 29 to this side. What's the next line?
7s equals. Oh, shoot.
Now, notice that here we have 2 digits. Okay? But this is the same problem as 29 minus 15. Do you see why it's the same problem?
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's easier to look at when you're looking at it like this. What's 29 minus 15?
That would be
9 minus 5?
4.
What's 2 minus 1?
1.
There's your answer. 14. Okay. So we've got 7s equals 14. Final one.
Each side by 7.
Okay, because 7 is multiplying the s, so we're going to do the opposite, which is to divide by 7. It's 14 divided by 7?
2.
Okay. Going to go up one level in complexity. We're going to put variables on both sides of the equation. Okay, we're still trying to solve for a. What's the first thing I'm going to do here?
-13.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So let's do that. -13. So that's going to leave 3a over there. It's going to leave 9a minus 8 minus 13. What is this?
That's minus 21.
Good. Now what's the next step?
Divide each side by...
There's always a step here where you want to gather like terms. That's exactly what the books call it, is gather like terms. Well, we've got some A's and we've got some numbers. Not only do we want to gather like terms, we want to put all the terms with the variable in it on one side of the equation and everything with a number in it on the other. So how can I combine my A's on one side of the equation?
Can you divide by A?
That's a good thought, but that doesn't, actually that's a pretty good thought. That's very clever. It's easier to subtract or add. In other words, why don't I subtract 9a from both sides?
Okay.
So now I'll have 3a minus 9a, and I won't have any 9a on the right side anymore. So what's 3a minus 9a?
3a. That would be 6a, right?
When you subtract a bigger number from a smaller number, your answer is always going to be negative.
Minus 6a.
Okay. Equals minus 21. And finally, the last step.
Divide each side by 6.
By minus 6.
Minus.
Remember, we're trying to isolate the a. Okay? Now, let's look at another way of doing this problem. Notice that the way we did it, we ended up with the a on the left side, which most people are more comfortable with. But the a doesn't have to be on the left side. We could put the variable on the right side and the numbers on the left. And notice that we have all these negative signs the way we did it. Well, sometimes problems are just easier to work if you don't have a lot of negative signs. Okay? So notice what else I could do here. I could move this minus 8 to the left. Now is all I got to do is add 8 to both sides. Well, this clearly becomes 21. And I could move the 3a to the right. And since the 3a is being added to the left side of the equation, you don't see the addition sign, but it's implied right there. In order for me to move that 3a to the other side of the equation, I got to subtract 3a. Well, now we have 9a minus 3a, which is easier, 6a. Notice no negative signs. Nothing but positive signs. Can I simplify that answer?
No.
Can you find a number that divides into the top and to the bottom evenly? That's the way you determine whether you can simplify it or not. I can divide the top by 3, and I can divide the bottom by 3. What's that going to turn into?
That's going to turn into 7 and 2.
7 halves. Now I cannot find any more numbers that divide evenly into the top and the bottom, so I'm fully simplified. Okay? And I did this to illustrate to you that it doesn't matter whether you have your variable on the left or the right side. And sometimes it's just a much better way to solve it by moving the variable to the right side and the numbers to the left, if for no other reason than you don't have all those negative signs. Now, we got the same answer either way. Either way we did this problem, we got a equals 7/2. It just was a little smoother this way. Smoother because there weren't any negative signs. And so when you have a choice as to which way to go, move your variables to the right side or the left side, try to get a feel for what's going to produce. Now, sometimes it doesn't matter. You're going to have a negative sign either way, but you generally don't want the negative sign on your variable. Okay? In other words, if you have to have a negative sign, make it on the number, not the variable. Which side should I put my variables on in order to have them be positive once I combine them together?
The left.
Okay. What's the next line going to be? After I move this to the left side, what do I have?
Then you have 2m squared.
No, I'm adding or I'm subtracting. I'm not multiplying. When you add or subtract, you just still have m's. Think of these things as apples. I got one apple here, and I'm going to add 2 more apples. How many apples am I going to have?
3.
So I'm going to have 3m minus 30 equals 6. And next step?
You plus 30.
There you go. You want to gather your variables on the same side, or the numbers. In other words, we had 2 choices here. We could divide each thing by 3, or we could move the number first. So the next line is going to be 3m equals what?
3m equals 36.
Okay, what's m equal?
M equals 36, right?
Well, I got to divide it by 3. Now, 36 divided by 3 is actually a pretty easy one to do, because notice the 3 goes into the 3 one time. Multiply the 3.
12, right?
Yeah. So, learn to kind of do this in your head. When you divide 3 into a 2-digit number, that's not something that A+ Math's going to give you practice at, but you still need to be able to do these kind of things, even if you have to do it on paper like this. Again, better, so m equals 12, but better that we moved everything to the left, the variables. Otherwise, I would have had minus 36 equals minus 3m. I still would have gotten 12 as an answer, but I would have had to deal with all those minus signs. All right, we're not going to do these forever, but I want to make sure you get really comfortable with being able to do these. If there's one thing you're going to have to do when you take your test in a couple or in a month, it's going to be these. Stuff like this. Which side should we move? What's the first step? Tell me.
The first step is to minus 11.
All right. So what's the next line?
Minus 11.
Well, we're going to do this. And then what's that give us for a next line?
It gives you
Okay, what's the left side of the equation now?
2b.
Alright. Equals what?
4.
Okay. 4 what?
Minus 6b.
Okay. Now the next step?
Plus 6b.
To beat both sides, what's the next line after I do that?
Then it would be 8b equals 4.
Okay. Next line?
B equals 2.
Write it out fully, first of all. 4 divided by 8. Can that be a number greater than 1?
No.
No, because the numerator is smaller than the denominator. So we know our answer has to be less than 1. Well, how can I simplify 4/8? What's 4/8 equal to?
1/2.
I get that by dividing the top by 4 to get 1 and the bottom by 4 to get 2. Alright. Let's go on. Let me try one more hard one here. In fact, let's do this hard one and we'll be done for today. We'll go on to the next level next time. Alright, get me started here.
What?
That's a 14x. Minus 14x. Can you read everything?
Yeah, it's just confusing.
Okay. We got some parentheses. What's our first goal?
Yeah, get all the parentheses out of the way.
Okay, how do we do it?
So that would be it'd be minus 2x or 4 minus x.
It's 4 times 3. Well, now hold on. Let's back up one moment here. You're getting confused by this minus sign. When we say our first goal is to get rid of the parentheses, we get rid of these parentheses by multiplying. This 4 is multiplying this expression. So you need to multiply this positive 4 by each of these two terms. What's positive 4 times a minus 3x?
Minus 12x.
Okay, now what's positive 4 times plus 1?
That would be 4.
Okay, we need a plus sign in front of it. Now let's do a similar thing to the right side.
Equals minus 10x minus.
Remember, we're multiplying. We have a minus times a minus.
40.
Plus
40.
Plus 40. And we still have this minus 14x over there. Okay? Now, we've got x's on the left side of the equation. We got x's on the right side of the equation. Let's at least combine our x's on the right side. In other words, rather than having to deal with all three of them separately, let's combine that one and that one. Now what this is minus 10 minus 14.
So that would be 24. Oh, no, plus 24, yeah.
Minus 24. Here's what we have. We have minus 10 minus 14. This is the subtraction. I'm going to turn it into an addition, but then I have to add the minus sign to the 14. So now I got minus 10 plus minus 14. That's minus 24. Okay, so that's minus 24x plus 40. Didn't do anything to the left side. I'm just going to, what we're doing is kind of whittling this equation down step by step so that we can get a handle on it. Now it's pretty much like the ones we did at the beginning of the session today. What's the next line?
Then let's minus, minus 4.
Okay. So I'm going to move the 4 to the right side. That turns into 36. Now what?
Wait, isn't that a plus right there? So shouldn't it be 44?
It was plus 40 and plus 4 over there. Okay, so what I did was I subtracted 4 from that side and subtracted 4 from that side. So that's how I got 36. But it's good that you're paying attention and you're looking for things like that. What's the next step?
Plus 24x.
Okay, so I'm going to plus 24x there, plus 24x over here. What's the next line?
Then that would be plus 12. Plus 12x.
Okay, don't need the plus sign because there's no other terms over there. And the right side is?
36.
And I don't need that plus sign anymore because there's no terms over there with it. And finally, what's x?
X equals 36 over 12.
Okay, we just did a real similar one. We just figured out 36 over 3. If 36 over 3 is 12, then what does 36 over 12 have to be?
3? Yeah, 3.
Yeah, in other words, it's got to be that way. 36 divided by 3 was 12. Therefore, 36 divided by 12 has to be 3. The key is that 3 times 12 is 36, regardless of which one is here or here. All right. Good place to stop. Next time, we'll start talking about a second variable. What happens when we have an equation that has an x and a y in it? Okay? All right. Garrett, I will talk to you next time. Bye-bye.